Hello, friends. Welcome to Firefly and the Willow Yoga, and welcome to week 1 of this Yoga Foundations series. Over the next few weeks, we'll be exploring the foundational poses of yoga. We'll use props to support our practice, and many of the sequences will build on each other so that we can gain strength and flexibility, as well as see our progress. For today's class, you might like to have a couple of blocks and a strap close by. So take a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat. We'll begin our practice today in Sukhasana. Maybe allow your eyes to close down or your gaze to lower. Sitting up nice and tall, allowing the belly to be soft. And we'll just begin with some even breathing. Perhaps inhaling as you count to 4 and exhaling as you count to 4. We'll do the first one together. Exhaling completely, and then inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Continue this even breathing now on your own, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Through 2 more rounds of breath, inhaling and exhaling nice and slow. Now let the breath go. We'll interlace the fingers in front of the chest here, pressing out and away as we inhale the arms up overhead. And then exhale, allowing the fingertips to float down. Doing this again, bringing the fingers in front of the chest, interlacing and inhaling all the way up. Stretching out through those shoulders. Exhale, float the hands down. Inhaling again all the way to the top. Really stretching out this time. Maybe finding a little side to side movement, something that feels good. And exhale, hands float down. We'll come to tabletop now. So you can turn yourself on your mat. And we'll bring the wrists right under the shoulders, knees right under the hips. You can choose to have your toes curled under here, or press into the tops of your feet, pressing into the top of that big toe mound. And now just beginning a few gentle cat-cows. We'll inhale as we let the belly relax down towards the floor. And exhale, curling the tailbone under, pressing the mat away, pulling the belly button up towards the back body. Inhale, releasing down. Exhale, pulling the belly button in. Moving nice and gentle here, showing yourself some care. It's not necessary to throw the head back, but just allow the head to gently follow the spine. And come through one more cat-cow. We'll bring that back to a nice stable tabletop here. And then take the hands, a couple of handprints out in front. We'll turn the toes under in the back and gently shift the hips up, coming into downward facing dog. And here, if you like, you can find a little pedal with the feet, gently stretching out through one calf and then the other. Maybe you even rock from side to side a little, just waking up the body here.
And now we'll bring that to stillness. Inhaling up to the toes, exhaling to bend the knees, turning that tailbone up towards the sky. Press, press, press away from the mat. And then exhale, allow those heels to sink down towards the floor. Taking 3 breaths here, in through the nose, out through the nose. Making that Ujjayi breath, that yoga breath you can hear in the back of your throat. One more breath here. And then bending the knees, we'll take the gaze forward and walk the feet up to the hands. Keeping the fingertips on the floor if you like, or you can grasp the elbows, coming into a little ragdoll here, maybe finding a little side to side motion. If you have any lower back difficulties, it can be good to keep those fingertips on the floor. So maybe rocking side to side, getting into the side body here a little bit. Just whatever feels good. And then bringing that back to stillness, we'll bring the fingertips back down to the floor, bending into the knees slightly. And you can bring one hand and then the other above the bent knees. Inhaling up to stand with the flat back. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Reaching out through the fingertips, allowing the gaze to stay forward or perhaps to follow the hands if you like. And then exhaling, hands come to heart center. And we'll just take a moment here to pause. Grounding down into the feet like you could tear the mat apart between your feet. Feeling how that engages all the muscles of the legs. And then from here, we're going to move into tree pose today. So allow yourself to really ground down through that left foot. Bring a little bit of movement into the knees here, a little bit of bounce into the knees. And then grounding down through that left foot, we'll turn the right toes outward. And here I want you to allow that hip to really sink down and see if you can bring this other hip back underneath the body. So take just a moment here to play with what that feels like. And then engaging the abdominal muscles, engaging the pelvic floor, we'll begin to gently lift those right toes from the floor. And maybe they land on the calf, or perhaps you like for them to travel up a little farther to the inner thigh. Anywhere is fine, just not allowing them to be on the inside of the knee. You can do anything you like with your hands here. Maybe find something to focus on. And then when you're ready, hands come back to heart center, bringing that leg around in front, and then slowly lowering it down to the floor. I might take a moment here to shake it out a little. Coming back here to our Samastitihi, finding that little gentle bounce in the knees, grounding down through that right foot now, turning the left toes out, and then drawing that belly button in, drawing that hip under. We'll gently allow that foot to begin to float up from the floor, maybe finding the calf, maybe rising a little higher, but still allowing this hip to sink down, finding your tree. And then when you're ready, releasing that leg back around in front, allowing the hips to come to parallel, and gently releasing down to the floor. If you're not already at the top of the mat, we'll come up to the top of the mat now. And from here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead, and exhale, bringing the hands down to the hips. And Now from here, taking a big step back with the right leg, really pressing out through the outside edge of the back foot, making this back leg nice and strong. Knees stacked over the ankle in the front. Bringing this hip, pressing forward through the right hip, pulling back through the left. And then if you like, you don't have to, but you can inhale those arms up overhead, really pressing the feet away from each other on the mat, feeling the engagement of the legs. Maybe inhaling, the chin comes up just slightly. And then on your next exhale, we're going to allow the hands to swim around behind, grasping the elbows and extending through the front leg. On our next exhale, we'll lower the chest forward, coming into pyramid pose, taking the gaze to the big toe. Continuing that motion of pressing the feet apart on the mat. If you have a block handy, you can always bring that in. Maybe bringing that to the inside or in front of the toe. Or just keeping the hands behind the back. Either way, allowing the chest to remain nice and open and extending over the leg rather than rounding over the leg. And then when you're ready, we'll bend into the front knee, sweeping the arms back up overhead, coming back up into Warrior One. Nice big inhale here, and as we're exhaling, opening out to Warrior Two. So you can feel free to keep this leg a little in front of the other leg if you like, if you need a little extra room for yourself. Or if you prefer a more traditional alignment, you can bring that back foot back in alignment with the front so that that front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Taking that gaze gently over the front fingertips now, Warrior Two. Inhaling here, and then as we're exhaling, allowing that front elbow to drop to the knee, and windmilling that upper arm up and out over the ear, really stretching out long through the side body. Inhaling now, we'll sweep that front arm up as we extend through the front leg, coming into reverse triangle. Inhaling the arms back to parallel. As we're exhaling, we'll shift this hip out to the side, dropping the hand down to a block or to your shin as we come into triangle pose. Your gaze can be directly out in front or up towards the thumb, whatever feels most comfortable for your neck. Really see here if you can bring that lower rib cage around, smearing it up towards the ceiling, reaching up through those fingertips. And then engaging everything, allow yourself to come back up. And then we'll take this back hand, bringing it around to the front, stepping back up, inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands come to heart center. And now taking this sequence on the other side, we'll inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come down to the waist. This time taking a nice big step back with the left foot, pressing out through the outer edge of that back left foot. Really tearing the mat apart, pulling back through this right hip, forward through the left. And then if you like, inhaling, arms come up overhead. Warrior One. Give yourself a little smile. Inhale here, growing tall. Exhale, hands swim around behind, maybe grasping those elbows, extending through the front leg, and then on your next exhale, lowering the chest over the front leg. Gazing at that big toe. Continuing to pull back through this right hip. Or maybe, if you like, bringing your block around in front. Or perhaps your fingertips reach the floor, or maybe you can even grasp your shin here. Continuing to extend out of the pelvis, over the leg, nice and long. And then bending back into that front leg. We'll inhale, arms sweep up overhead as we come back into warrior one. Nice big inhale here, and then opening out, warrior two. Again, you can feel free to keep that back foot right where it is, or if you'd like to bring it into more of an alignment, you're welcome to do that. Personal preference here. Taking that soft gaze over the front fingertips. Nice big inhale here. And then as we're exhaling, bringing that elbow down to the top of the knee and the arm up and over the ear. Reaching out here, nice long side body. Couple of breaths. And then as we're inhaling, we'll allow that front leg to extend, reaching the front arm up and overhead, coming into reverse triangle. Inhaling the arms back to parallel. We'll shift the hips out to the left side this time, gathering up all the air we can with that right hand, and then dropping that right hand down to a block or the shin, or maybe even the floor. Extending those fingers up overhead, taking the gaze out front or up toward the thumb, whatever works best for you. And now once again, engaging everything, we'll rise back up and then bring that back arm up overhead, stepping up to the top of the mat. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Do you have a block here? You can move that out of the way. And now from here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead and exhale as we sit back into Utkatasan, chair pose. Arms don't have to be overhead here. You can have the hands at heart center, or extend the arms out front, pulling those shoulders back. Deepening into the legs here. Maybe taking a look down, making sure that your toes are peeking out over your knees. Holding it here for 3, 2, 1, and then tilting forward, forward fold. Nice forward fold here. If the floor doesn't meet your fingertips, you can always bring the floor to you by putting a block underneath your hands. And then we'll plant both hands on the floor, stepping the feet back and allowing the knees to come down to the floor. Tops of the feet will come to the floor as well. And we're going to come into Virasana here. So you might like to take a block and place it in between your ankles here, allowing the heels to be just a little on the outside of the hips here, sitting up nice and tall, Virasana. And then from here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale as we bring the hands down through heart center, and then allowing the hands to gently graze over the legs. We'll extend the arms out long, coming into a Virasana forward fold. If this is difficult for your knees, you can always come into a child's pose, or maybe even place a blanket or pillow behind the knees. So find what feels best for you. And now from our Virasana forward fold, we'll walk the fingertips back towards the body, coming back up to sit in our Virasana, and then shift the block out of the way if you chose to use that, and we'll come back to sit in our Sukhasana. And I invite you to grab your strap, come into Utkatasan arms. You can bring that strap over your right shoulder. We'll inhale to bring the arms open wide. And we're going to bring that right hand around behind, grasping the strap, and allow the left hand to come around in the other direction, holding onto that strap, pulling the strap away, and allowing that right elbow to point up towards the sky as we sit up nice and tall. A few deep breaths here. Allow those fingers to release and unwind. We'll take the strap over to the left shoulder. And once again, inhale the arms open wide. Exhale as we bring that left hand in the back, followed by the right, grasping onto the strap, pulling the strap away. And if you notice that the sides of the body are different, just allowing that to be as it is, not judging one side as good or bad. A couple of deep breaths here. And allow the fingers to release. You'll unwind, you can move that strap back over to the side. You may use it again later though, so keep that handy. We'll roll back onto the back, making the adjustments that you need to make. Bringing the knees into the chest, giving a gentle roll out through the lower back. And then we'll allow the soles of the feet to come down to the floor. We're going to bring the heels as close to the tail as we can here. And take the palms of the hands, placing them next to the hips. And then either on your next inhale or exhale, because it's personal preference, we're going to allow the hips to shift up towards the ceiling. I prefer to do mine on an inhale, so I'll cue it that way, but if it doesn't work for you, then feel free to reverse the breathing. So on your next inhale, allow the hips to shift up towards the ceiling, keeping the thighs moving in towards each other, lifting the chin just slightly, bringing the chest to the chin rather than the chin to the chest. And then either on your inhale or exhale, rolling down slowly, one vertebra at a time, until you come to rest on the floor. We'll take bridge pose one more time. So inhaling will allow the hips to rise, and this time you might allow the shoulders to walk up underneath the back, maybe interlacing the fingers underneath the back. If that doesn't work for you, it's fine to keep your palms planted on the floor. Just different variations here. Lifting the chin towards the ceiling. We'll take 3 more breaths here. One more breath. And then gently allow the fingers to unwind, walking the shoulders out, and slowly lowering down. Bring the knees back into the chest here, rolling out just a little. And come back up to seated, so you can choose to roll over to one side, or if you prefer, you can grab the outsides of the feet and gently rock and roll back up to a seated position. We'll shift back into Tangasana now, allowing those sits bones to connect with the floor, pulling the toes back towards the face. And here, if you have your strap handy, you can take that around the balls of your feet, taking one side of the strap in each hand, rolling the shoulders onto the back, allowing the chest to be nice and open wide, sitting up nice and tall here. And then on your next exhale, lowering forward from the center of the chest, allowing yourself to become long over the legs, not being worried here about how far forward you go, but just focusing on the sensation. And you might even inhale to release slightly and exhale to deepen. Tangasana, forward fold. And allow your next inhale to carry you all the way back up. And move that strap out of the way. And roll back onto the back. Bringing the knees into the chest. And this time opening the arms out wide and allowing the knees to fall over to one side. Taking the gaze over the opposite shoulder and allowing that opposite shoulder to relax down to the floor. Inhale to bring the knees back to the chest. Let that pelvis equalize for just a moment. And then on your next exhale, dropping the knees over to the other side, taking the gaze over the shoulder. And bringing the knees back to the chest. This time we'll reach through the knees, grasping the outsides of the feet or the big toes or even the shins, bringing the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling and then coming into happy baby. And you might find a little rock from side to side here. Maybe see if you can roll that tailbone down towards the floor just slightly. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the soles of the feet to touch. And use our hands to help us gently stretch out into Shavasana. I invite you to take as much time here as you have today to relax in stillness and let your body integrate your practice. And if this is all the time you have for your practice today, I thank you for joining me. May your yoga follow you. Off the mat.